Well, the time is just gone 9:32 a.m. We continue with the broadcast this morning and taking a look at the Karpowership ruling. Now, this is the Turkish company Karpowership, and there have been huge question marks with regards to what has been playing out behind the scenes, the issuing of licenses and the like. And is Karpowership going to be an answer or an alternative to some extent to overcome the problems that we are experiencing with regards to energy and power and ESCOM? And organization undoing tax abuse has actually made certain requests and also wading in to this entire battle. And we're joined by the OUTA Legal Project Manager, Slade, this morning. Brendan, good morning to you and welcome.
Good morning, Inayat. Thanks for having me.
Yes, I saw an interesting headline, Brendan, saying OUTA wading into the battle to sink power ships. Now, this is quite interesting because at the end of the day, it is about going to court and the decisions that have been taken with regard to this Turkish company, Karpowership.
Yes, just to go back in time a little bit, in April of last year, OUTA launched a review application to set aside the decision as granted by NERSA for the three-generation licenses of Karpowership. So the headlines that you are referring to, that now refers to one of our most recent applications, and that's called an application to compel. So in the main application, which we launched last year, we, amongst other things, asked for the review and the setting aside of NERSA's approval of the licenses. But we also asked in the application for the complete disclosure of the full unredacted record of the decision. So that's the record and the reasons that NERSA utilized when it made those decisions. So why this information is important to us? Firstly, it's important so that we can advance the litigation. We are, because we are the applicants in the main application, we are entitled to that information in terms of the court rules. But on the other hand, it also is in the interest of the public to know what the financial implications are of a Karpowership deal in the long run. So on the one hand, we need to advance the litigation, but on the other hand, it's the public's right to know exactly what is going on as far as the finances are concerned.
Yes. Now, clearly, we are not talking about small money here as far as this deal is concerned. We're talking about a 200 billion rand deal, and it's a deal that is going to last for a very, very long time, over a 20-year period. Now, when we look at the critical situation as far as power in this country is concerned, I mean, can this country afford to wait for 20 years to overcome a problem? Because this is a matter that needs to be dealt with urgently, with the sense of urgency it deserves. And there again, one would be skeptical that we are talking about a deal that is going to last for 20 years. And are we going to wait for 20 years to overcome the problem?
No, I fully agree with you. But first off, we just need to understand the business model of Karpowership. So in other countries, Karpowership function as a relief for energy generation in countries hit by natural disasters, war, unrest, and so forth. So we like to use the analogy that this is like killing an ant with a shotgun. So it's a complete overkill in order to address the problem we currently have. We have a generation capacity issue. And what Karpowership is essentially, it's a long-term rental agreement which makes no economic sense. It makes no economic sense because the fuel component, which is LNG, liquefied natural gas, is very expensive. So when Karpowership bid for the 120 megawatt, 1,200 megawatt power in terms of the risk mitigation project, the cost to generate around 1 kilowatt hour was around 1 rand 50. At the time when OUTA launched the application, that cost escalated to 2 rand 80 per kilowatt. The experts we consulted in line with launching our application found that that price has since escalated to around 5 rand. So we would essentially be paying 5 rand per 1 kilowatt hour generated by Karpowership because of the expensive fuel component. So we are obviously aware of the conflict in the Ukraine currently, the supply and demand of liquefied natural gas has since escalated. That then means that the price will go up exponentially within the next couple of months. The other aspect is the import of gas is also, linked to the exchange rate. It's a very volatile market, and it would be extraordinarily risky for the country to tie itself onto such financial constraints for a period of 20 years. It will certainly cause financial ruins in some sectors.
Well, Brendan, you're talking of the cost, and against what you have just said, I wonder what is the thinking behind the government and Gwede Mantashe in particular, where he's on record of saying that the cost must be compared to the cost of load shedding. It costs us more to be on load shedding. Your comment?
No, certainly. But what we need to remember is the problem here is generation capacity. So what the ships are, as I mentioned earlier, that would amount to a rental agreement. So let's hypothetically say the 20-year period lapses. So after Karpowership generated the electricity in terms of the contract which they've been awarded for, at the end of the day, South Africa would not have that generation capacity connected to the grid because the ships would simply pack up and leave. So we could argue that there are much more faster and cheaper ways to produce that electricity within such a short period of time. So if we look at renewables, it is certain that renewable power plants are much faster to connect to the grid, and it is also much cheaper in the long run because there would not be a fuel component in the pricing, because obviously we would utilize South Africa's resources, which is solar and the sun, and it won't deplete. And obviously, there's no market relating to buying power directly from the sun. If you get what I'm
Yes.
saying.
Yes, Brendan. But also, Brendan, with the cloud of secrecy surrounding this entire car powership deal, and we know in the past where there is this cloud of secrecy and this intention to actually hide the facts from the public, and this is the reason why you are taking this matter to court. But also linked to this, there is all this talk about a national state of disaster as far as ESCOM is concerned, and as sorry about that. As a nation, we've learned some bitter lessons with national states of disaster. We know what has happened in the COVID era. We know what has happened with PPE and all the COVID funds. And a lot remained hidden and still remains hidden. That's a lot that we don't know about. And should there be a national state of disaster as far as electricity or ESCOM is concerned, I shudder to think a lot of this could actually be hidden, and a lot may not come out in the open.
Yes, no, certainly. The only big principle here is that we can learn from history. We all know what happened with the COVID-19 pandemic, the fiasco surrounding PPE procurement. But we would sit with another catch-22 situation if a national state of disaster is declared. Firstly, we have the issue of government's credibility. Government has lost trust in it, or the citizens have lost trust in the government handling matters of an emergency. We should also be cognizant of the fact that to some extent, this emergency we are currently in is to a large degree self-inflicted. But we need to accept that fact and try to move forward. A good thing of a potential state of disaster is that it could alleviate red tape for other independent power producers to come online much faster, much quicker, cutting away from the red tape. But ultimately, we are also very skeptical on certain stakeholders within this sphere. It obviously creates a new feeding trough for corrupt individuals to take advantage of the system of more lenient procurement practices. But that is certainly a space that OUTA would keep an eye out for, and we would make sure that any additional procurement, regulations or which will be promulgated in terms of a national state of disaster is fully adhered to. We expect full transparency from government if and when such state of disaster is declared, and we will certainly bring our part from civil society's perspective to make sure that this process is transparent.
Right. Now, just finally, Brendan, this application that has been filed, seeking to get NERSA obviously to provide you with full records. How far are we at this with this process?
So this is just to go back. This is an interlocutory application. The main application is pending, subject the outcome of this application. So how the court days would work now is we received opposition from NERSA and from Karpowership Monday and Tuesday this week. So from that date on, they then have 15 days in order which to file their opposing affidavits. We would then be afforded an opportunity to file our opposing or our replying affidavits rather, and give and take, we may see this particular interlocutory application hopefully being concluded within the next 3 to 6 months.
Well, we certainly will be keeping an eye out on this development, Brendan. But as always, we appreciate you taking time out and talking to us. All the best to you.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Brendan Slade, Organization Undoing Tax Abuse, with us this morning. And again, huge question marks relating to these latest developments, the whole question surrounding Karpowership, and also looking at the secrecy. And I think as always, with most issues in this country, there is a cloud of secrecy, and the what OUTA is saying is records and information cannot be confidential because simply somebody says it is confidential. And also, I think the bigger issue here is looking at a 20-year contract, and this is massive. This is a rental contract that the South African government is talking about, but also at the end of the day, it is the cost. At what cost and at whose cost? It's a cost of you and I as a taxpayer, and as an alternative, it is roughly 2 or 3 times the cost of alternative generation solutions, and that is what OUTA is saying. The time is just gone, 9:45. We're going to go for a break. We'll come back. We'll be joined by Zahid Jedward. We'll be taking a look at a reflection on society through education inequality.